Hello, Deeper Waters. I'm Tanya. Amy is my friend, and she asked me to bring a message of encouragement to you. And it took me a minute. It took me a minute to think of what might be encouraging. And so I decided to flip that. Oftentimes, when I'm not sure, I like to flip the script and think about it from a different direction. So I thought about how you're an encouragement to me. And it took me back to a time when I used to work with traumatized children. And when I was training for that role, I was nervous. I was nervous that I would say the wrong thing and be the wrong thing, that I wouldn't be enough, that I wouldn't have the answers. I was nervous that I would somehow cause more harm. And I asked a mentor of mine who herself had been a traumatized child. I asked her about that, and I said, I'm afraid that I'm not going to be enough. And she said, you are enough. She said, here's what you need to do. You need to, listen closely, show up and do what you say you're going to do. And then show up again and do what you promised to do. And then show up again. Keep showing up and building trust and being exactly who you are right now. And that was a huge encouragement to me, that showing up as myself was enough to meet the moment, and being true and being transparent and making sure that I kept my promises and I showed value for the children that I was working with. I've never forgotten that. That was many years ago. I've never forgotten that, but it's often calming to me when I think, oh my goodness, I'm not enough. Oh my goodness, I don't have the answers. Or I feel vulnerable because I feel like perhaps I haven't done my homework. And I remember what Jessica told me, show up and keep showing up. And that makes me think of Proverbs 25:25. Like cold water to a weary soul, so is good news from a distant land. And I think about that proverb whenever I think about needing encouragement. There is always, if I look, there's always some encouragement that comes sometimes from a distant land and feels like cold water to my thirsty soul. So you all, having watched your ministry, having watched you all working with Amy, gathering together and loving each other, that is like cold water to my weary soul, because you all show up. You show up and you keep showing up. You do what you say you're going to do. And your presence is enough. Your presence is enough to meet the moment. And so your work and your love of God is such an encouragement to me and all of the rest of us who see you, and the tenacity that you are using to build relationships with each other, to be present in the community, to keep showing up for God and walking along with God and walking alongside us. That's a huge encouragement to me, and I thank you for it. Thank you for being cold water to my thirsty soul.